She wasn't supposed to hear me packing. That zipper, that cursed, loud zipper on the suitcase, betrayed me at 2:13 a.m. She appeared at the bedroom doorway like a shadow with perfect timing, mascara still smudged from wherever she'd been, phone still in hand, screen glowing with the name Eli across it. I didn't even turn around. I just kept folding my shirt, the one she told me made me look too safe, and tucked it into the corner of the suitcase like I had rehearsed. She said one thing. Just one. I don't belong to you. It wasn't a scream. Wasn't a sob. It was a declaration. Calm. Like she was proud of it. Like I was just another apartment lease she was giving 30 days notice to. I zipped the suitcase shut, turned around, and met her dead stare. Then I replied with the sentence I didn't even know I had inside me until that second. Then you're not my problem. No yelling. No insults. Just the truth between us, finally aired out like a rotten sheet. But let me rewind. Not to the beginning of the relationship. I'm not interested in telling you about how we met at some overpriced brunch place, or how she used to laugh at my terrible movie impressions. No, let me take you back to the business card. That stupid square of paper I found in the pocket of her coat, the one I was going to take to the dry cleaner. It was black, sleek, no logo, just a number and the name, Eli, Discreet Services. At first, I thought it was for some kind of private driver. Or, God help me, a dog walker. But when I searched the number online, on a browser she didn't know I used, it didn't lead to any business. It led to a forum, a private one, men sharing screenshots of their wives with Eli. And there she was, my wife, wearing a necklace I bought her on our 4th anniversary, in a photo she clearly didn't know was taken, with Eli, in a setting I couldn't fully place, a luxury hotel room, maybe. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I saved the photo. I emailed it to myself. Twice. Labeled it groceries so she wouldn't find it if she snooped. And that night, I told her I had a work trip coming up. 3 days. Out of state. She barely looked up from her phone. She said, have fun being boring. That was the last favor I ever did her, pretending I didn't already know, giving her space to show me who she really was when she thought I was gone. I wasn't gone. I stayed in a motel 12 minutes away. I tracked her location using the Bluetooth tag she didn't know was inside her key fob. She went straight to an address that didn't show up on Google Maps. And the moment I heard her laughter through the cracked open window of that upscale condo, that was the moment I stopped being her husband. Now I'm packing, and she's standing in the doorway, and everything is about to explode. She leaned against the doorframe like this was just another one of our petty arguments. Like I'd be done sulking in 10 minutes and back to cooking her breakfast while she scrolled through her phone, ignoring me. She didn't realize this wasn't one of those nights. This was the last night I'd ever tolerate being treated like I was some failed version of a man she never respected. You're really leaving? She asked, crossing her arms, voice flat. Over what? A phone number in my coat? I didn't answer. She already knew. She just wanted to see if I'd break. If I'd fall back into that role I played so well, the quiet one, the safe one, the idiot who waited at home while she had meetings. But I wasn't safe anymore. I was done. I slid my laptop into my bag, zipped it slowly, and finally looked her in the eyes. Her smudged mascara, her fake surprise, the flicker of panic behind her composure, it was all there. For once, she wasn't in control, and that terrified her more than being caught. She walked into the room slowly and said, "You don't get to leave like this. After everything I've tolerated from you." I laughed. I swear I didn't mean to, but it just came out, sharp and bitter. You tolerated me? You mean after I paid your student loans? After I helped you get your job through my cousin? After I stayed quiet when you started sleeping on the couch and blaming me for your career stress? She froze. I continued, "You're right. You don't belong to me. You belong to whatever life you built without me behind my back. But that life? It's about to get a whole lot harder." And that's when I pulled out the black envelope. It was sitting at the bottom of the suitcase, tucked under my sweaters. She didn't know I had it. She didn't know what it contained. But I'd spent the last month preparing it. Watching. Documenting. I hired someone, discreetly, to follow her, to take pictures, to collect receipts, to track the car she swore was going to work when it was actually parked in private lots downtown. I handed her the envelope. She opened it. Her hands trembled. The photos fell out first, then the screenshots, then the printout of the hotel receipt, with her signature, her ID on file, and Eli's name listed as a guest. She looked at me like I'd just gutted her in silence. And for the first time in 2 years, I saw the truth settle in her expression. She wasn't the clever one anymore. She'd been watched. She'd been outplayed. "What is this?" she whispered. "That's my insurance," I said. "So when you try to tell your friends I was controlling, or when you go to HR and pretend I was emotionally distant, or when you run crying to your mom about how I suddenly walked out, just know I'll release every single one of those files. Digitally. Automatically. I've scheduled it." She backed away like I was a stranger. And maybe I was. Maybe she never knew me. Maybe she only knew the version of me she could manipulate, dismiss, belittle. But the man standing in front of her? He wasn't begging anymore. "Good luck with Eli," I said quietly as I walked past her. "Hope he likes liars." She didn't follow me. She didn't scream. She just stood there, barefoot on the cold floor, holding the truth in her shaking hands. And as the elevator doors closed in front of me, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Control. But this was just the beginning. Because Harper hadn't lost everything yet. Not even close. 3 days. That's how long I went completely silent. No texts. No calls. I didn't even look at her social media. Not because I didn't care. Oh, I cared. But because I knew she'd go insane with the silence. Harper always needed an audience. She thrived on being watched, validated, praised. Her whole life was curated for likes, for applause, for the illusion of perfection. So I let the silence stretch. I gave her the one thing she couldn't survive, invisibility. On the 3rd day, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I let it ring out, then checked the voicemail. Her voice. Tight. Rushed. "Neil, I don't know what kind of game you're playing, but we need to talk. Now." Game. That word made me laugh. She was the one who turned our marriage into a chessboard. I just learned to play after being the pawn for too long. I still didn't call back. That night, I checked the tracker I had left active on her car. She'd gone to some rooftop bar downtown. Fancy place. Glass walls. Candlelight seating. Very on-brand for someone trying to pretend nothing in her world was burning. I waited until she was comfortably seated. Then I sent the message. Not to her. To the anonymous group chat she didn't know existed. The one I created months ago with 3 of her close colleagues. All using burner emails. We'd been gathering stories. Rumors. A whisper here, a questionable lunch meeting there. See, Harper wasn't just cheating on me. She was also skimming deals at work. Sliding under-the-table contracts to people who gave her gifts. Nothing huge, but enough to make HR sweat. And now I had screenshots of everything. I messaged the group. She's at it again. Top floor, violet bar, red dress. One of the women replied instantly. Got it. Time to light the fuse. Meanwhile, I watched Harper's smile widen in real time on the bar's live stream, a public feed the venue used to promote their atmosphere. She was laughing, toasting with some guy I didn't recognize. Head tilted just right for the camera. The picture of success and charm. She didn't know 2 of her co-workers had walked in 10 minutes earlier. They were watching from the corner, phones in hand, seeing everything. One of them even took a short clip and sent it to me. There she was, lying with her body, lying with her smile, and completely unaware that the people who could destroy her reputation were already planning the fallout. At 10:41 p.m, she checked her phone and saw my name. The text said only this. Smile for the camera. You've just gone live. She froze. I watched her blink hard, looking around the room like she felt the shift in air. She stood up, knocked over her drink, said something sharp to the guy beside her, and then she started walking, fast, to the exit. But it was too late. Because that message? I didn't send it just to her. I sent it to her boss, her HR rep, and our shared family group chat. All with the same attached photo. Harper, toasting with Eli too. 0. I didn't need to scream. I didn't need revenge. I just needed everyone to see who she really was. But this was only the first strike. The next one? That would leave a permanent mark. She showed up at my temporary apartment the next morning, wearing that fake soft expression she used on strangers she wanted to impress. Like nothing had happened. Like we were just a couple that had a silly misunderstanding and maybe, just maybe, it could all be smoothed over if she batted her eyes and tilted her head a little. I didn't answer the door right away. I watched her through the peephole. She was holding coffee, my usual order, from the cafe down the street we used to walk to every Saturday before everything turned to ash. She even wore the hoodie she used to steal from my side of the closet, the one she claimed smelled like home. I almost laughed. The performance was so clean, it was insulting. When I finally opened the door, she smiled like she'd just bumped into me on a good day. "I figured we should talk," she said, stepping forward without waiting for an invitation. "You've been unpredictable." I said nothing, just watched her set the coffee down like a peace offering, like she was the one being generous. She glanced around the small apartment like she was scoping it out, noting the unpacked boxes, the stripped-down furniture. Her face curled just a little at the edges, like it didn't meet her standards. "I didn't expect you to go nuclear," she said. "The photos, Neil? You sent them to my boss." Still silent. She pulled her phone out and waved it at me like I'd dropped a weapon and she was returning it. This could have stayed between us. It was almost funny how she still believed she could guilt-trip me after everything. After the lies, the nights away, the cheating. After Eli and whatever other names she kept buried behind deleted texts and disguised contacts. She really thought I'd care more about her job than the fact that she gutted our marriage like a fish and left me to pretend nothing smelled rotten. "You lied to everyone," I finally said. "Not just me. And you don't get to rewrite the story now just because your world's unraveling." She bristled. "It's not unraveling." "Oh no." I tilted my head. "HR called you yet?" Her expression twitched. She tried to hide it, but I saw it, the split-second crack in her mask. "They're investigating," she said too quickly. "But I didn't do anything illegal. It's just jealousy. Office politics. You blew this way out of." "No," I interrupted. "I just held up a mirror. You chose what people saw in it." She stepped back like I'd slapped her. The fake calm slipped, and the real Harper peeked out, the one with the sharp tongue and zero tolerance for accountability. "I built everything we have," she snapped. "You think you're strong because you exposed me? You're just bitter. You couldn't keep up, and now you're trying to burn down everything on your way out." That was it. That was the truth. Right there. She never wanted a partner. She wanted a prop. Something safe to come home to when her double life got exhausting. I was the default. The fallback. The quiet fool. Except not anymore. I walked to the counter, picked up a small envelope, and handed it to her. She opened it, and for a second, she didn't understand what she was holding. Then she did. Bank transfers. Asset shifts. Legal signatures. My exit had already been signed, sealed, and notarized. She didn't even know I'd met with a lawyer 2 weeks ago. Didn't know I'd moved money from our joint accounts into protected trusts. Didn't know I'd already filed, and that the process was past the point where she could delay or negotiate. "You'll be fine," I said. "You've got your connections, right? Use them, or call Eli, or whoever's next." She stood there, stunned, speechless, and for once in her perfectly scripted, perfectly filtered life, she had no comeback. "I'm done being your background character," I said, walking to the door. "Now get out of my scene." She didn't move at first, but eventually, she grabbed her bag, her untouched coffee, and left without a word. The door clicked shut behind her. I stared at it for a moment. Then I smiled. But we weren't done. Not yet. Because she still didn't know what else I had on her. And the next move? That one was going to ruin her public fairy tale forever. It took exactly 48 hours for Harper to start damage control. I knew she would. She was too calculated, too obsessed with image to let her downfall go quietly. She went on the offensive, posting a long, emotional caption on Instagram with a black and white photo of herself, talking about narcissistic relationships and how sometimes you outgrow the ones who were supposed to love you. The comments were full of support. Her followers ate it up. She'd been feeding them this curated version of her life for years. Flawless outfits, self-help quotes, carefully staged moments of vulnerability that always made her look like the victim. It worked. People believed her. Or at least, they wanted to. But I didn't post anything. I didn't comment, didn't argue, didn't even flinch. Because I knew something she didn't. There were more eyes on her than ever before now, and not all of them were friendly. One of her former interns messaged me anonymously, said she saw Harper take kickbacks on a product deal and had proof. Another guy, an ex-friend of hers she burned on a contract, emailed me a voice recording. It was Harper bragging about manipulating negotiations, joking that being likable is better than being honest. I didn't leak them. I didn't need to. All I did was forward everything, quietly, carefully, to her company's ethics board and 2 journalists who followed corporate influencers for a living. I didn't even use my name. Just sent them the truth. The whole truth. And then I waited. The first blog post hit 2 days later. It didn't use her full name. Not yet, but the description was obvious. A rising corporate figure with a strong social media presence, currently under internal review for undisclosed partnerships and client favoritism. Harper posted a cryptic response that night, some vague line about jealous exes and smear campaigns. But the next article named her outright. And that's when the likes started dropping. Collaborations paused. Brands pulled back. Emails started going unanswered. She tried to spin it. Tried to cry on camera. Tried to gaslight the internet into believing she was being unfairly targeted. But the thing about pretending to be perfect is that the fall is 10 times louder when the mask slips. And I hadn't even pulled the trigger on the worst of it yet. Not the thing she feared most. Not him. Because, deep down, Harper still believed Eli would take her side. But that man, he was already talking. I hadn't planned to speak to Eli. Ever. In my head, he was just a shadow in the background of everything Harper had destroyed, a name on a screen, a smug face in a photo, the guy who got to enjoy the life I was rebuilding from the wreckage. I figured he'd just fade into whatever mess came next for her. But then he called me. Directly. No blocked number. No cryptic message. Just a bold, clear name lighting up my phone at 11:06 p.m. I let it ring twice. My thumb hovered. I don't know why I picked up. Maybe curiosity. Maybe closure. Maybe I just wanted to hear his voice, to know if it was as arrogant as I imagined. But he didn't sound arrogant. He sounded wrecked. "Neil," he said, breathing heavy. "Listen, man, I think you need to know something." I didn't say anything. Just waited. He kept going. "I didn't know she was married when it started. She told me you were separated. Said you were emotionally abusive, distant, controlling. That she was rebuilding her life from the ground up." I let out a bitter laugh. "And you just believed that?" He paused. "I did. At first. But then I saw the photos. The receipts. Everything you sent. And the way she's handling the fallout now? She's not panicking like someone who's sorry. She's panicking like someone whose game got exposed." There was a long silence between us. I could hear street noise behind him. A dog barking. His nervous breath. "I think she's done this before," he said finally. "Maybe not marriage. But this kind of thing. She plays people. Reinvents herself. She gets bored and sets fire to the version of her that doesn't serve her anymore." It hit me then. Eli wasn't a villain. He was just the next idiot in line. "She used you," I said, more tired than angry. "Yeah," he replied. "I'm figuring that out. That should have been the end of it. But Eli wasn't done. There's something else. You should probably see it." He sent me a screenshot mid-call. A chat thread. Her name at the top. Messages that weren't just flirty, they were manipulative. Cold. She talked about how the tech guy won't fight back, and how she needed someone alpha enough to replace that empty space at home. I stared at it for a long time after we hung up. That's how she saw me. Empty space. I thought I'd already hit the bottom. But that dug deeper than I expected. And yet, it gave me something else, too. Final proof. Not just that she betrayed me, but that she planned to. Now it was time to show everyone the part of Harper even she couldn't deny. The one she put in writing. And this time, there would be no comeback post. Harper always believed she could talk her way out of anything. That if she could just get in front of the story, spin it fast enough, cry at the right time, smile at the right moment, she'd survive the blow. And for a while, she did. Her loyal followers clung to her version of the truth. She posted teary-eyed videos in soft lighting, captioned them with vague words like betrayal and growth, and blamed internet trolls for the smear campaign. But the cracks were getting wider. Her partnerships stopped promoting her. Comments under her posts started turning. People were asking questions she couldn't answer. And then, the real collapse started. Not from me, not from Eli, but from the people she thought she still had wrapped around her finger. One of her closest friends, Margot, someone who used to hype her up in every single photo, quietly posted a long message on her story. No names, just words. But anyone paying attention could connect the dots. Sometimes the people screaming the loudest about being victims are just afraid someone finally saw through them. And I'm done protecting what was never real. Hours later, another former coworker publicly commented under one of Harper's videos. "Wild how you preached about honesty while pocketing kickbacks. Guess karma really is patient." I didn't say a word. I didn't have to. The truth had a voice now, and it wasn't mine. But Harper? She was unraveling. She tried messaging me again. Not with rage, but with desperation. Harper, please. I just want to talk. I didn't think it would go this far. Harper, you're destroying my life. Harper, I made mistakes, but you're acting like I'm evil. Please. Neil, please stop. I didn't respond. What was left to say? She didn't want me. She wanted control. She wanted the narrative. The sympathy. She wanted to flip the script and turn the villain into the misunderstood heroine. But there was no script left. And then came the final blow, something I didn't even plan. A screen recording started going viral on a drama subreddit. One of her live streams. Someone had caught her muttering under her breath, forgetting the mic was still hot during a live stream test. They're so easy to manipulate. You just cry, say the right words, and they'll eat it up. That was it. 17 seconds of audio. That was all it took. Within hours, her follower count started dropping in real time. Sponsorship deals began disappearing. And all those people she once used as props in her perfect life? Silent. Unfollowing. Distancing themselves one by one. She tried posting an apology video, but the comments were brutal. You're not sorry. You're just sorry we found out. Your husband warned us. Mike's still hot, Harper. And me? I watched it all unfold without lifting a finger. She didn't belong to me. And now? She didn't belong to anyone. It's strange how quiet the world gets when the noise dies down. Not just the noise she created, but the noise I let live in my head for too long. For months, maybe even years, I lived in the echo of her moods, her choices, her mess. I kept asking myself what I was doing wrong, what I could fix, how I could be more, or less, or better. And now? Silence. Clean, undramatic, peaceful silence. After everything blew up, Harper went fully offline. No stories. No apologies. No carefully filtered captions. She disappeared the way people do when the spotlight becomes too hot to survive under. I heard, through someone who still worked with her, that her contract wasn't renewed. That her brand deals quietly dissolved. That even Eli ghosted her, once he realized she dragged him into a storm she created on purpose. But this isn't about her anymore. Not really. I moved out of the city. Took a job in a small town a few states over. Less pay, more sanity. People there don't care about who you were or who your ex-wife pretended to be. They ask how your day was. They laugh without checking their reflection first. I didn't know how much I needed that until I had it. For a while, I kept waiting for the next betrayal, the next twist, like life had trained me to expect the worst. But it never came. Slowly, my shoulders started to drop. I started sleeping through the night, eating like I enjoyed it, breathing like I wasn't apologizing for existing. And one evening, I found myself at a little bookshop cafe, flipping through pages I wasn't pretending to read. That's where I met Jamie. She wasn't flashy. She wasn't trying to be anyone she wasn't. She told me I had a nice nervous laugh and asked if I always talked with my hands that much. I said yes. She said, cool, and handed me her number written on a napkin. No drama. No games. Just peace. We're not rushing anything. I'm not trying to fill a hole. She's not trying to be a solution. But we talk. We listen. She smiles at my lame jokes, and when I told her I'd been through a mess, she said, then maybe it's time for some calm. I think she's right. Harper will probably always live in the rear view, not as a ghost, but as a lesson. One I needed. One I finally learned. And now, I'm driving forward. No more looking back.